Okay. Oh, now I am live. Okay. So whatever was going on with the phone seems to be working out. Hello. Welcome to the land of the technology challenged. My name's Nancy, and I am the wonderful person behind this overstuffed house. Now we're going to go for a walk, and it's going to get dark because I'm supposed to be downstairs where I thought my laptop was. My laptop was not there. My laptop was up in Mike's room. I had to find it because he put it away. No, putting it away would be putting it back down at my desk in the living room. That was not putting it away. So I have to take my time. I hope everybody's doing all right. Oh, did that not post? No, it didn't. There we go. Like I said, technical difficulties, and I am technology challenged. So, uh, this is one of the cool scout posters Mike got when they were cleaning out their. Will you guys stop following me? Who's here? Say hello, Elrond. You can say hello. Oh, you gotta know you're sniffing my hand. All right, let's get back to the desk. This will be interesting. I am having trouble breathing. So when we get back there and I'm sitting down, I will explain the ups and downs of this week. Don't worry, I see my doctors on Monday. Ugh. Let's get this going here. Ugh. Okay. Huh, I'm a little wobbly. So, hi, everybody. I have spent a lot of the last 2 weeks sleeping, not understanding why. Well, now I understand why, but all right, let's come on now, stay straight. You guys have to go there. And so that I can read the chat, I need to plug in this laptop and get that up and running. But I had a wonderful time at Longwood Gardens, walked 3.9 miles. And ever since then, I've just felt incredibly tired. We kept it going at a moderate pace. They let me rest when I needed to rest. So we covered a large amount of that fantastic botanical garden. I saw things I'd never seen. It was great. But I was absolutely useless the next day and almost useless the day after. So I kind of got back into it, but I just couldn't quite like shake the fatigue. So I I seemed fine by the time we got to last Thursday and the weekend, but I woke up on I noticed I was having trouble breathing laying flat last Saturday night, this past weekend. And then that was Saturday into Sunday morning. And then Sunday into Monday morning, I could not breathe. Not well. I had awful pain in my chest, pain in my back, had gotten a sharp pain in my left arm. These are all warning signs to a heart attack. But I also noticed that um, the coughing sounded like it did when you're really congested, like bronchitis. And if everything around was quiet, I could hear this bubble popping noise. That's not good. That's fluid in lungs. So I went to the hospital. Mike took me to the ER on Monday. I got there a little after 12, let's say 12:30. I didn't walk out the door until a little after 7. So I was there 7 freaking hours. All they ever looked at was the fact that I said there's a history, a solid history of congestive heart failure. So that's what they looked for. They did do the blood test. It said I didn't outright have a heart attack because then you get this certain chemical in your blood when you have one. But they didn't check anything after that on the heart to check its function. So I'm checking in with my cardiologist on Monday. We're going to see what tests he wants done and get them done. Um, but they did. They came back. They took blood 3 different times. Um, I was there for 4 hours before I ever even saw someone that was a nurse practitioner. What do they call him? Phlebotomy? Who takes your blood? That guy's name was Ron. Oh, fantastic. They don't pay this man enough. He juggles that whole way. They have a special waiting room in the back if you're high risk. I'm back there with when I got back there were maybe 4 other people. Well, it rotated through. Some got through easier than others, but these were the high risk people. Nobody seemed to be moving out of there without a minimum of a 5-hour wait. So, yeah. So rotation in that room wasn't frequent. Um, got to meet a wonderful lady who says she's from Chester but was born in Milan, Italy. She is about to turn 98 years old. Her name is Ida. She says she didn't say where in Chester she's at. Now, if she's Italian, she's probably over around by Widener. A lot of Italian families over that way. How did that get bent? Can't plug it in if it's bent. Um, they got her a room at that age, and she's coming in, her heart's skipping beats. So, they prioritized her, got her a room. It's crazy over there because Crozier Hospital, which is near me and the poorest of the hospitals, closed. Now, while the professional building is still open with doctor's offices, the hospital itself is not. No ER, nothing. With them goes the one in Ridley Park, Taylor Hospital. Well, there goes that ER and the hospital part. My spine doctor is in one of the professional buildings that's adjacent to the hospital. That's still open. So the only ER is Riddle, which is out in Granite Run. So they are getting swamped, So they've broken out, they've redone their waiting room area so that they actually have a high risk waiting room in the back. So that if somebody comes in with certain things like your heart, they can put you where they can keep a closer eye on you instead of having you just sit out with everybody. But at no point did they check again how my heart was doing. My blood pressure was 167/73. So they were concerned. The x-ray didn't really show a lot of congestion. Apparently whoever read it first wasn't actually a pulmonologist or a cardiologist because they said the notes off the first x-ray were that um, they looked at the chart, I guess, and said shadows are probably from woman's weight. We all know weight don't have shit to do with an x-ray. I'm sorry for using the S word, but your weight on a chest up here has nothing because most people's weight isn't carried up here. So I know that was bull crap as soon as they told it to me. And so the nurse red flagged it. And she told me she red flagged it because she didn't think she had a word for it, the diagnostician, as if it were a car. The diagnostics, and I just looked at her and went, "Isn't that for a car?" She goes, "Well, the diagnostician made a comment on here, but I think I'm going to tag this that it should go to a cardiologist to be looked at." Okay. So let me take a break from talking for a second so I can get this plugged in and gives me a chance to catch my breath. I see you over there. You don't need to be over here. No, you don't. No fur babies on my lap when I'm doing a live. Not tonight. No. You were on my bed sleeping. Why couldn't you stay there, baby? Ugh. I have Aragorn staring at me, wondering why. Why did mommy leave the bed? Because I was sitting upstairs. Because after going up there to try to find the. What do you call? You're caught on the heater. Cord is caught on the space heater. After going up there and digging around looking for this thing. Okay. Plug you in. There we go. Oh, the cats have played with the lamp again. There we go. That's better. Oh. Yeah, see how easy it is for me to get winded? It's driving me up the wall. But my blood pressure in the ER was 167 over 73. That's not good. And I've been taking my blood pressure medication. So they were concerned that they were operating off the first x-ray and what it supposedly didn't show. So then they decided, well, maybe it's a blood clot, a pulmonary embolism, blood clot in the lung, which are incredibly dangerous. So they tried to tell me that and I love this. When you tell somebody, try not to cough, well, of course, then at some point you're going to want to cough. I managed to not to, but I always think you would be better off if you told the person, hey, you know what? Let us know if you feel like you have to cough because we should keep an eye on it. They don't want you to cough because it basically makes a pop for your lungs kind of thing. It's pressurizing very quickly to push air out. So that's what we were working on. And they did more blood work on that to see if there were any certain things in the blood. And that came back negative. And then they were saying, well, if that comes back saying there is, then we'll have to give you a CAT scan. And it sounded like it's the CAT scan the cardiologist wants anyway. But the blood work said I was good, so they didn't do it. And they's like, okay, well, and I kept putting my hand on my back, and she said, what's wrong with your back? And I told her it's in my records. So before I left, they gave me my dose of the muscle relaxer and then gave me a shot of Torvidol, which is it's a it's a higher version of naproxen, but they could give it intravenous so it would get to work faster. So I still had that in there. And I've got a lovely rash. I've never had this happen before. That's for some reason the cotton swab that they had there gave me a rash. I've never ever had that happen. And the other side gave me a nice bruise when they blew a vein. I'm not an easy stick by any means. But they basically were like, okay, well, follow up with your cardiologist as soon as possible and see what he wants to do. We will also send copies of everything to his office and, um, go home, try to take it easy. Um, and the thing is, when I would try to take a deep breath, the nurse had said, I can hear little popping little bits. But because I had sat there, that was when I first got in there. When I sat there for 7 hours, I'm sitting up in a chair. So whatever pressure there was from laying flat has all started to disperse. So they sent me home. Just said follow up because we're not finding anything. But right before, while they were getting the paperwork, I said something to the nurse because I finally saw the woman go by again. Hey, didn't you red flag about the first x ray? Before you guys discharge me, shouldn't we find out what's going on with that? And she went, oh, yeah, let me check that. Well, the male nurse missed it. She saw it. They wanted another x ray. So they like, oh, you're not leaving yet. Okay, get another x ray. Send that to the this time went directly to whoever the cardiologist was that was looking at it. And he could see the difference between the two x-rays showed that there was a little bit of fluid in the top part of the lungs. So they're like, okay, well, they give me a low dose of Lasix, told me to keep drinking and try to drink the two big water bottles every day, those giant 32-ounce ones I have from Scouts. Two of them in a day is hard. Um, but I've got to keep my system flushed. So that's basically what they told me to do. Now I'm called today. Here comes the fun one. I called today to make my appointment because today I could finally get somebody in that cardiologist's office, not the answering service, because I had questions that I wanted to know now. One of them being, what's all this funny Latin on here that it says they found I have this? I can't even tell what part of the body it's for. So she says, oh, that's a partially collapsed lung. Wow, really? That explains why I can't friggin' breathe all this week. So apparently, somehow, um, one lung, one of probably this side is the one that hurts. So probably this bit up here collapsed a little bit. So she she was very nice because it was the nurse in his office. They actually um they have a receptionist to make appointments and stuff, and then they have a nurse there. That's why I kept trying to get through to his office directly. So when I first made the appointment, she then handed me off to the nurse to ask what that had meant. And the nurse went, hang on, let me go see if he's in between. I think he's in between patients now. So she went and asked him, told him what was going on. He pulled up my file, which had the stuff there from the ER. And he said, well, she does need to keep flushing her lungs, but she's going to need to do something about that because we can't fit her until Monday. Then she needs to be aware that she's got to um every so often try to do deep breaths that fill the top of the lungs to help fix that and make sure no fluid builds up, or she'll be back in the ER again. And that's what she told me he said. So that's where I am right now. And it's just, I hate it. I hate it. Ugh. I've had a little bit of problems breathing off and on ever since that last cold. Michael had gotten sick, like really sick, and then I caught it. And it took me a week to get over. He was over it in like 3 days, but he's got a better immune system. And we didn't have any more testing kits, so we just self quarantined ourselves. Um, but it was too late. I'd already got it off of him. So, um, I have to wonder if that wasn't COVID. And that was that week. No, it wasn't that week. It was the 2 weeks before I left for the mini farm. But I didn't have this much trouble breathing then. This bit has only happened since, the end of last week where it's gotten really bad. So I'm supposed to turn 60 in October. And Mike's birthday, his 31st birthday, is the 28th. I have no intentions of leaving this planet before then, or even anywhere near it. In his life, he's lost too many women in Novembers. That's why he hates Thanksgiving, because for 3 years in a row, there was first his mother, he was 7, then his step grandmother, who he absolutely adored. That was in November. He was 8. And then when he was 9, that November, Steph across the street, who he always called Bobchi, and he was kind of like her adopted grandson. Um, so she passed away from a stroke. And so did Ida, I think, which was his step grandmother's name. But I got to make it past Christmas, well past Christmas of what, of 2035 or something. You gotta laugh, because if you don't laugh, you'll end up in such depression. It'll hurt your health. Find the humor. So that's been my week. How have yours been? I had plans to like do so. We finally got cool weather. Temperatures have been in the upper 70s. Today wasn't, because it's been overcast. Um, but I thought, oh, this will be great. I can go out and trim more out of the garden and cut back some more of the invasive vines and spray them with this vine killer. I don't usually use chemicals, but these vines are out of hand. And this completely blew all that. And I try to read and then I fall asleep. I'm sitting up reading and I fall asleep. So I haven't gotten too far with Dracula. I haven't gotten very far at all with that. Um, but I haven't gotten very far with anything this week. Because this is better. I mean, I made it upstairs to get the laptop and had to sit down. And when I finally found it, texted him and found it all. I had to wait till I could breathe, and I saw it with hitting 10:02, and I'm like, and I have to start. You guys have to find out that I'm having technical difficulties and running late. Where is that mouse? There is that mouse. Come on, turn on. Oh, you're not turned on. So that's been a thing that's slowing me down. I can't do stairs. It's 14 steps, first floor to second. I can't do them. It's an issue. Oh, oh, fudge. I don't have the wireless. Oh, shoot. All right, well, me. Let go. I gotta flip this over. Ah! Hang on, guys. Technical difficulties. Whoopsie. Come on, let me in there. I forgot my wireless keyboard. No, 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 no. Wrong. That number. Okay. Now we can flip that back around. Getting a nice view of the ceiling there, aren't you? Oh, sorry about that. I thought I went to pull it out and was like, oh, this little drawer underneath for the keyboard. Keyboard not there. Keyboard's still somewhere upstairs. But so I saw Linda is here. I see Val is here. And once this computer wakes up. So I'm back to being really limited, but in a different way. It's very frustrating. Anything in upstairs, downstairs, kind of takes the wind out of your sails. So I did something today because Aragorn has been trying to be an escapee and get out of the house again. And when he's gone, then he gets out there and then he gets scared. So then he hides and we can't find him. My blood pressure is too high. I don't need the worry. So I started harness training him. Yesterday, he had the harness on twice and did not do what the others have done. The others get it, they freeze, they fall over. Him, he was like, not sure, tried to stretch in it, but then he started walking around and he was okay. It's like, okay, mom, I don't know what you put me in, but fine. And he just kept walking around the house with it on, about 15 minutes each time. So today, I asked if he wanted to go outside, put the harness on him. And so we went outside and he tried to do his thing of hopping up on the bench and going through the slats. I'm like, no, 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 got to come down the steps. He made it down the steps off the porch. And then 4 people and a car come out of the driveway of the house across the street and he panics, tries to disappear into the foliage and just was having conniptions. I had to pick him up. And I said, at one point, I'm trying to catch him. I'm like, because he's pulling, trying to either get into the weeds. And I said house. So he tried to get to the porch. I figured if we get him to the porch, that let him learn that that's a safe zone. And so the girl who was there, I guess it was her and her husband or boyfriend, I don't know, that were looking at the house. She says, "Oh, he's adorable. What's his name?" And I'm like, "Aragorn." Meanwhile, he's going nuts because mom's talking to a stranger. Stranger danger. So it took me a little bit. She's a cat person. She said they have 3 and a dog. And they were across the street looking at the big Wetherell house. So they left. And then, so I just sat on the porch with him, holding him so he could calm down. So once he did that, then we tried again, going just across the front lawn. That was okay. We went down the side yard here towards the back, but he didn't want to go all the way to the backyard because that's where Snowball and Percy and Jack, the stray cats, are usually hiding out back, and the doctor. And so he didn't want to go all the way in the backyard. And every time he tried to disappear into the overgrowth, I'm like, nope, pulled on the leash and made him stay near me. So we started walking back up the side yard, and I pulled a couple of weeds out of the vegetable garden, not many. And so we go out front, and I take him to the cherry tree. It's a flowering cherry tree. It doesn't actually get any fruit. And I pick him up because the way the tree branches, there's a big branch here, a big branch here, and a big branch there. So there's this nice little spot which Frodo and Gimli like to sleep in. So I sit him up there, and he's looking around, and he's sitting in there, and he's got his claws, but he's right up against my body. He keeps leaning over into me. So this is why it really got kind of funny that he was fine in the tree. He's watching, looking all around. Oh, this is okay. This is fine. Until got a row of cars going by. Well, he didn't. He didn't know what to think. So now, and I have the hand with the leash. I have in front of him. So suddenly, one paw is on my arm. Cars are coming. Then a car with a noisy hot rod kind of sound came, and he was up on my neck, grabbing me, one leg here, the rest of him here. He could not wait. He just could not wait to get inside the house. That did it. And I'm okay with that. I kept telling him, "Hey, car's bad. Daddy car good, other cars bad." Because we did that with Gimli and Frodo. But definitely we tried to leash train Gimli. But that's why Gimli, he really he stays away from all the cars. Doesn't even like being in Mike's car. Um, but he hears a noisy car or a motorcycle, he bolts. He wants no parts of the noise. And I'm okay with that. If they think that, all cars are dangerous, well, then that's fine, because then they're more likely to stay away from it. So I give myself a thumbs up there. So we have Linda and Val here and a few others. So, oh my. Ah. I should have written it down. There was a video I watched about decluttering, and it really it was interesting because they were 5-minute declutterings. Just 5 minutes. And I really like the idea. So I thought I'd pass it along. She had something else she said that clicked, and now I of course can't remember. Because with all this stuff, that's what's so weird is like my pulse was okay. My oxygen level was still in the 90s, so it was considered good. But having to spend half your focus making sure you breathe properly kind of takes away some of the focus of your brain. But she said to do these 5-minute go throughs, where you're picking stuff out. And I really kind of like that, because there are days when you've just not got the time to do anything big. And she talked about Marie Kondo and her method with the clothing of pull everything out of everywhere. I am so never doing that, because I have winter clothing in the attic because I get cold easily, and I have big bulky sweaters, and well, not so many anymore, cuz I have I have been known to take my wool sweaters when I can find them and wear them out until they literally are elbows need have patches and they start falling apart. Um but that can get to be overwhelming. So she says do a 5-minute, set your timer and do a 5-minute pick through. She didn't call it a purge. She rattled off a bunch of names that she felt would make people hesitate because it just had a negative connotation that might like make them feel. She didn't want to oppressed. She's oppressed. She didn't want to use the word depressed, but she said, sometimes all the stuff you have around of you feels like a weight on your shoulders until you start clearing some of it through. And I completely understand that. But she set her timer and did it right there on the video. Now she had a friend doing the video for her, holding the camera. And so she went through, and anything that um she knew didn't really fit well. She had three tops that just did not fit well. They were too short. She's long in the body, and they were just too short. The minute she would raise her arms for anything, they'd come up and you could see her skin underneath, and she wasn't comfortable with that. She had another top that she really loved, but every time she looked in a mirror, she saw a flabby arm, and so that always made her made her feel upset. So she got rid of that one. And she only got as far as all the short. She went through all the short sleeve shirts she had, and blouses, and she had a lot. But she took out 12 different tops, and would say, yeah, you know what, this one's all polka dots, and it always makes me feel like I'm somebody's granny. Though her friend said, no, you look cute in that, so she did decide to keep that one. She goes, well, if you think it's cute, then I'll try it one more time. Summer's not quite over, and see how I feel about thinking of it a different way. So, but everything else, it was either something that she never really felt comfortable in. She never really quite liked the pattern. Um, it didn't fit. It didn't fit well. We all have those things. Hi, Sherry. We all have those bits of clothing that we might actually really like, but they don't fit well. And she had a couple of tops where, she'd had them for years and they still look really good, but she's getting older and she's gained a little weight. So now she says she feels like she's a sausage stuffed into them because they're meant to be form fitting before she had gained some weight. And she said, nobody warned me that menopause was going to mean weight gain. I'm like, yeah, yeah, hon. Yes, it does. Um, can relate to that one. But then, so when the timer went off, she only did it for 5 minutes. She had gone through every one of those because her closet is one of these modern ones where it's compartments and it's half the wall. I live in an old house where it's just, open the door and what space you've got is what space you've got. But she got rid of 12 shirts in 5 minutes, and she went through all of them and knew which ones she really liked. So all she had left was what ones she really liked. And she still had a minute left, and she started working on the long sleeve shirts, which she had at on the spot behind her. And she didn't end up with any pulled out of there because she went through like the first four, and then the timer went off, and they were all ones she really liked. So I kind of like that idea of just 5 minutes. So I did it with um, the bathroom, the main bathroom upstairs that we can't have showers in. Um, so I found expired stuff in the medicine chest, um, and got rid of those. I don't, God knows how long that aspirin bottle had been in there. Um, I didn't find anywhere where there was an expiration date. And when was the last time you saw aspirin come in a glass bottle? Yeah, that had to be old. That had to be from my parents. So yeah, I got rid of that and went all through that, and then went through. I have on the back of the toilet. I have this little. It's only 4 drawers deep. It's only like this wide, um, and the drawers are only about an inch and a half, And in magazines sometimes you have these freebies, or you get um you they might be a hair wash or something for your face, or any little free giveaway thing that I had found, or that was a small pouch friends had given me, face masks and things like that. um I had tucked them all in there. One drawer is all face masks, another two drawers, because more often you find shampoo, and I would save them for summer camp. So I went through there and I realized I still had two more from Avon. I didn't think I still had any of those. I haven't sold Avon since Michael was like 5. So it's been a while. So I made sure that I flipped them, because shampoo doesn't usually go bad. Shampoo and conditioner don't. So I made sure that all the oldest ones were now on the top of the pile. So I'll use them up first. And I did the same thing. I looked for dates on things for the face masks. None of them had any kind of expiration date on them, but I knew which ones I'd had longest. Another drawer had little packets of bath soak, and I knew there were some that were quite old, so I flipped them around because I take them with me when I go to the mini farm, because then I can actually have a bathtub I can soak in and not have water coming down in my room below it. So I did that, and then I got to the other thing I did too, though, is I went in there with a damp rag sprayed with a little Windex. So I wiped down all the shelves inside the medicine chest. I wiped down the top of the toilet. Everything that was sitting there, because there's a box, a powder puff box there, and then there's this little thing, and then a glass container that has all the cotton balls in it. So I wiped those three things down of any dust. And I just gotten over to this little metal and tile rack that I have, that's a little shelf thing, and it's got all kinds of um yeah, because when you're the aunt and nobody knows what to give you, they give you body wash and stuff like that. So the top shelf was real easy, because that was makeup, a little bit of hair dye that somebody here had given me. And so I basically got as far as getting any kind of dust off the shelf and everything put back in its place. It took me about 2 minutes after the timer went off. But that stuff is all now nice and clean, a little more organized, a few things I threw away, um, mostly out of the medicine chest. And it was nice. And it's nice to go in there and see the things are cleaned up. Um, I have on my to-do list for tomorrow, I'm going to do another 5 minutes in there, because I want to do the rest of that shelving thing, um, and get that taken care of. I had a big thing of Avon bubble bath, and I took that with me to the mini farm. What do you want? No, what are you doing? No, you don't need to do this. Remind me tomorrow. It's trying to tell me I need to update the laptop. Um, I took the big thing of orange bubble bath, because it's one of those big tall Avon bottles, out to um the mini farm, because their daughter loves having bubble baths. And so I was like, well, here, you can have this. Because she certainly was going to use it more than I would. So it really, I liked it. I really liked these 5 minute things, because you felt like you accomplished something without getting completely overwhelmed. Especially when you have a house that's so stuffed that it's like one of those sliding puzzles. You move A to B to A to B, just so you can move C over here and D over here. So it's helpful. And it's also given me something more to do than, like, in the kitchen. Anytime I'm boiling water, it seems like I'm always doing dishes. You can't let Gary do dishes, because he doesn't get them clean. You know how you have a saucer, right? It's got that little center part and it's got a rim. He'll only wash the center on the front. But these are dishes that he may have had stacked up in his room, so there's crud on the bottom too. So yeah, no. No, you cannot. Oh no, you cannot. You won't get clean dishes with Gary. There still be food stuck on it. I swear he cannot see it, but he has this attitude of, "Oh, that's good enough." Not when it's something with food. You need to make sure you get it all off of there. So I'm usually the one doing the dishes. Michael does once in a while, but it's usually me. Bless his heart, though, he does usually do them on the weekends if he's not camping. So so I'm usually doing them. That's usually what I'm doing every time I'm in the kitchen. But I keep pestering these two that if you see dry dishes in the dish rack, there's no excuse for you guys not to put some of them away. If you're out here, grab one or two and put them away. So we're working on that. Really working on that because if they do that, then I might have more time then to do a 5-minute thing in any of those drawers in the kitchen. Now, mind you, some of those drawers are probably going to take more than 5 minutes, but it's very easy to just go through and pick out what you know is just not usable. That's just not worth keeping and just throw it away. Or if it's something that can go into a small junk jar, save it, bring it to a sale. I don't have a donate box yet, but we do have a donate clothes started again, Michael and I. So there will be a clothes purge when I feel better. But there definitely will be one. So I thought that was a nice little decluttering thing to do just these 5-minute things. Because sometimes you have a busy week, or you got a week like me where you just, you can't function very well. So I thought that was a good lesson to learn though. If you don't have the time to spend an hour doing something, just spend 5 minutes doing what you can. And like she said, right now it doesn't have to be perfect. Just has to be started. Just if the amount of time you have means you can only do a space that's 1 foot by 1 foot, do that 1 foot by 1 foot. And I had never thought of it that way. I think we all have that idea that, well, there's so much, I have to do the whole thing. Well, it doesn't have to be perfect, just better. And she said that, and I'd heard a guy who does overgrown houses. Is it Midwest something or other? But he says that all the time. Not perfect, but better. And I never connected in my head to think of cleaning out your clutter that way or downsizing your house. Doesn't have to be perfect. You're just aiming for better. Because when he tackles stuff, it's like he's got a couple videos where you can't even find the house. And he's in this country. He's around Detroit. And you can't even find the house sometimes when he shows up. Um, but he's got all the equipment and he tidies it all up. A lot of times it's elderly people or disabled people that the properties like mine just gotten away from them. Or there might be, like mine has, is there'd be a path where somebody had come and cut enough grass that, you kept certain parts of it okay, but there still was a ton of overgrowth. And he does it all for free. He does it based on what he gets from the YouTube channel and Patreon. And so, and there was one family that the steps up to the house were so dangerous. And there she was with a walker trying to get up and down the stairs. And the property was so bad. And her son had put a 6-foot tall stockade fence with razor wire around the top, um, all in the backyard, and then told her, I'll take care of that. You don't ever need to go back there. And then he finally moved out. So she has no good way to get in and out of her house that's safe. So it was so overgrown, it ended up being two parts. So he did the front yard and a little bit at the side of the house and at the other side of the house. And then he tells the viewers, let's see if we can't rebuild that front walkway, the front steps, so that she can actually get in and out of her own house. If we take the two, if she says I could take the hedges down and one of them's dead anyway, if I could take the other one down, there's room there. We could put a ramp in. What do you think? Well, the next video he did the following week, because I don't know when he did all these, but he said that, and because it was an older video, and he apparently put that out to some of his Patreon members and whatever other ways he has. And they raised so much money. They raised enough money to pay for all the lumber, everything, to build. The front of the house now has steps that come down and a ramp she can walk up. So if she's ever ends up further along where she's in a wheelchair, she could still even use the ramp for that. But she'd been in a car accident and had spent um 3 weeks in the hospital, and still has visiting nurse come every day to help her, to check on her, and then has a healthcare person who comes and helps her do things in the house. So she's on her way to recovery. And then, but when he does the second video and gets to the backyard, there's all these big tubs and all these cages for growing something. And you look, and he had put the guy, her son had put black plastic all the way around that stockade fence on the inside so nobody could see in. He was definitely could not have been growing tomatoes back there. Not a chance. But he looked at that and he's like, well, we definitely can make this one better. So he does, though. He makes it, doesn't need to be perfect, just needs to be better. So I think that was a bad mindset to have. Um, I have my stuff all picked out for the auctions to go to Briggs auction. So that's a plus. Got 10 lots and a few other loose things that will probably go. I have a purse that I think is alligator, and they had one, and they were doing better on their online auctions than what eBay was doing. So I think I'm going to send that one to them and let them deal with that sucker, because I don't know if there's rules of alligator skin stuff. So I don't want to deal with it. Ow. So, so that's a good thing. We've moved ahead with that. I still have to transfer some things into boxes because they're upstairs. But we've got our 10 lots, and so we're should be good to go. Um, I'm gonna wait until next week. I have to send photos anyway in an email, but I would rather wait until I get through Monday with the cardiologist and find out what's going on. And I also don't want to be tripping over the stuff down here. So some of the boxes are in the doorway to the Black Hole Challenge room, which eventually will be my office. Um, so so they're up there. So that'll be good. And the fun one will be getting the Disney toy chest out of the attic. So I'm gonna do that. I talked to some family again, and nobody wants Amos and Alice in the hallway. and I've not been able to find anybody from the Trout family. So they aren't going yet, but Michael pointed out, he says, at some point maybe you should just send them off to an auction, which seems sad. But he doesn't want them. And nobody else in the family seems to want them. So now with him though, uh if I can find it, there was a photograph of him in his Civil War uniform, which if I can find it, I might donate that to Gettysburg National Park because that's where he fought. He was at Gettysburg. His brother died there. So, hello, hi Frodo. So I don't think they'd want the big one because he's not in uniform in the big one. It's when he was later in his life. So the auction stuff is pretty much all set to go. And I am, I have gotten everything out of the way so that um, I can get to the packing room upstairs. So tomorrow, um, Mike will be working from home, and I have a chair up there. So I am to sort out what I need to set up for you guys and do some packing upstairs. But he will carry everything up, and I will take my time getting up there and see about getting stuff packed because I'm way, way behind again. Oh, and I know I have a glass shoe that the cats knocked that way, and I can see the box. I can't get to the box. And that box came back because for some reason it didn't get through customs to go to Canada. But now I can't reach the box. But even if I just spend 5 minutes down here, better, not perfect, but better. So I know this isn't a long chat, partly because the breathing is a challenge. Once I had it explained to me today what that phrase was, it's all Latin medical terms. I looked up exactly what it was, how it affects your lungs. And thank you to Cleveland's hospital. Cleveland Hospital has it on their website what some of the therapy treatments are. So, so I will be doing those, and it's basically just breathing exercises. So, I will be doing those carefully. And that's pretty much the plan, you know, uh, um, 2 or 3 times a day to start. And I will be doing these because it's up here. I have to try to take a deep breath, but get it up here, which means, and this is a singer's thing, because singers often, most people are shallow breathers, so they breathe up here, but not in the bottom of the lungs. So when they get pneumonia, it starts in the bottom of the lungs. Singers, because we're used to expanding out that bottom part of the lung when we sing, but we don't always get air into this top part. So when we get bronchitis or pneumonia, it's always up here. And it's far worse when it's up here because, all the tubes, all the bronchial tubes and stuff are up here, and your heart's up here. So I have to stay with my back straight and pull in my stomach. Just pull that in so that you're pulling in the diaphragm, and then take a deep breath and you'll feel your shoulders raise and everything up here will raise, and that's okay. But that forces the air into the top part of the lung. And when you first do it, it hurts if you haven't done it in a long while. Especially hurts if there's mucus or anything in there. But it is a good way to help force it out. So that's what I got to do. because it's up in the top where, and funny, like I always thought a collapsed lung was like a balloon, but in the lung there's these little, it looks like a branch with a bunch of little berries on it, and they're all supposed to inflate, and the air around it is supposed to inflate the lung. Well, somehow those little parts are the real parts that give you the majority of the oxygen you get. So, hello, Lou. Um, so what's happened is they have flattened. I always thought, like, if your lung collapses, then it's like a balloon and the whole thing collapses like that. But it's no, it's those little, it's all those little things that have collapsed. So the only way you can get them to reinflate is to do that deep breathing and push it, and it doesn't feel good. Definitely doesn't feel good. But I'm gonna keep doing it. I've done it before. Every time I've had pneumonia 5 times. I've had 2 different kinds of pneumonia. So, I know what it feels like. It's the same kind of pain. I can deal with it. If I could deal with 5 cracked ribs I had from when I had, walking pneumonia, I can deal with this. So, mind you, that was when I was singing opera, and I coughed so badly, I cracked 5 of my own ribs from the inside. Yeah. All those muscles were all in tune then, tuned up and ready to go. So I'm gonna go. I know this is a short one. It's probably been about an hour. Yep, little over. But I wanted to give you guys an update on what I had learned for a decluttering tip and about the auction. So let's see, there's 10 lots. There is the Disney toy chest. There are some Tonka trucks, big metal Tonka trucks. Um, there's the alligator purse. There's a box of assorted odd bits of glass, including one of those. You know how the in the 70s was a big thing to take Coke bottles and Pepsi bottles and stretch them. So I've got one of those, and I do not want to try to ship that thing. So I've got that and a couple other random pieces. That didn't sell for me, so I've put them. They aren't worth putting on eBay. Most of them are flash. Is that what it's called? Flash glass. When it's a coating on the outside of the glass to give it the color. Got a couple of those pieces, so we'll put them in the same bottle. So it makes one lot of glass with the bottle. Um, I've got 2 boxes of books. I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts. My brain, honestly, worse than usual. But anyway, I've got my 10 lots. So I've got one of the 2 box of books is all books that are like theater related. So we'll see what that does. And so I'll try to get that out of the house next week. I want to just get past the cardiologist first and keep monitoring myself, because if I have any more chest pains of any kind, or sharp pains in my back, because women don't always get the pain in the arm, then I am to immediately head right back to the ER, because then it could be going into some problem with my heart. We don't want that. Definitely don't want that. So, I'm gonna keep an eye on myself. I'm gonna be drinking my 64 ounces of water. It's a lot, but flavoring it with a little lemon juice and some stevia definitely helps make a little bit of lemonade. Um, but that's where things stand. And hopefully next Thursday can be a live sale. I just did not have the energy this week to pull one off. No way. So I'm hi, other Nancy. So I will see you guys next Thursday. I'm still trying to figure out this software thing so I can get the um a video done of Longwood Gardens because I've got some cool pictures. And one of them has my friend Mei Ying's hand in next to it because it gives scale to this pitcher plant that was like the part of the pitcher plant that captures the bugs was probably almost a foot long. I would say it was probably about 10 inches. So her hand is in the picture for scale. So I will keep trying to get that done. Mike says he'll have some time to help me this weekend. And if anybody wants to send Mike a happy 31st birthday card, his birthday's on the 28th. My address is on my channel so that if you, where is it? If you click, where is it? There it is. So if you click the icon of the house, it'll take you to the main page, but then um it'll say welcome to the treasure hunt more. So click on the more and you get this nice description, but it has an address where you can snail mail. He doesn't know I'm telling you, but I just think that it'd be fun if he actually got a bunch of cards for his birthday because he's never really had that. He gets a card from my sister, card for me, card from my dad, from his dad. Um, and he's never uh his cousins aren't real big on sending cards, so he's never really had that where, you get all these cards from people. He's just not had that. So, I think it'd be fun if we all just mail him a card. Just put Michael or Mike Kraus. He's got the same last name as me, and the snail mail address is under that. When you go to the main page, um, for this overstuffed house where it says welcome to the treasure hunt and it has more, that's the description about the channel. And um, so, oh, hey, that says the date we started. I kept looking hunting, where's my anniversary date for the channel? When you scroll down far enough, it's on there, May 28th, 2020. Huh. And then a year later I hurt my spine. Okay. So maybe next May, we can actually have a party. I wanted to have one before. So there you go. All right. So I will see you next Thursday and and think good thoughts that everything will work out. Everything should be good. We'll see. The cardiologist tell me Monday if I really have to worry about anything. So we'll know because I'm sure he's going to want some tests of his own. So have a good weekend, guys. Remember, 5 minutes, 5 minute little spurts of tidying up and going through things. Not perfect, but better. And that's okay. So I've already started to try and do that. And after this ER go around, I'm that's a good amount of time to be doing stuff. So I love you guys. You guys have no idea how much you keep me sane with your comments. So really, I mean it. Have a great weekend. Bye.